Caitlyn Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes beat Angel Reese and the LSU Tigers, and now they're on the way to the Final Four. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And coming up on the show, we're going to talk about Caitlyn Clark and how she shot her way into the Final Four with the Iowa Hawkeyes. Got some Buckeyes coaches news in football, and we're going to talk about their quarterbacks as well. Plus, we have Tuesday tweets, all that coming up. See if you made the list here. Monday night saw a rematch of last year's women's basketball national championship between Caitlyn Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes versus Angel Reese and the LSU Tigers. It's the best rivalry in women's college basketball based on what happened last year. This year, it was an Elite Eight battle in Albany with a trip to the Final Four on the line, and Iowa won 94-87. This game was an absolute track meet, particularly in the first half and early into the third quarter. It was amazing. On the night, Caitlyn Clark ended up scoring 41 points. But this game was tied at 45 at the half. But on her way to 41 points and 12 assists, and the Hawkeyes go into their second straight Final Four, she made 9 3-pointers and hauled in 7 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block in this game. But it was key coming out at the half. Early in the third quarter, they went on a big run. Again, it was tied. They got up to 11. Along the way, Caitlyn Clark just threw in 4 bombs, each one further back from the previous 3-pointer. Absolutely incredible. Laser focused. It was a thing of beauty. It was really artwork, really. So Caitlyn Clark doing Caitlyn Clark things in this game to help her basketball team get back to the Final Four. All right, I want to take a moment for a note right here, just a little sports note, if you will. Bad job by the selection committee. I mentioned this before. I'm going to mention it again. To not tweak the tournament seedings. Nothing is guaranteed, but these teams should have been on a path to potentially play in a Final Four or a national championship game again. I mean, given the fact that this was the national title game last year, the rivalry, Caitlyn Clark, Angel Reese, this should have been in a Final Four setting, not in Elite Eight. Now, the committee will tell you, hey, we strictly look at seedings and not matchups. That's true, not true. I mean, they tweak all the time to make sure certain teams in certain region or tweak to make sure they're not playing somebody in their own conference real early on. They can tweak, and they should have when they put their brackets together here. But they're in charge, not me. Now, on another note, everybody knows Caitlyn Clark is an elite shooter. Maybe the best I've ever seen. She can hit from anywhere on the floor and literally makes 30-foot shots routine. She had more in this game on Monday night, but she's also an elite passer. And I think most of the people are kind of catching on to that as well. Her court vision is second to none. She makes passes that lead her teammates to open areas before they realize they could get open. She sees the floor in advance of what's going on. She's really remarkable. You know, there was a play where she was running down and kind of hesitated around the 3-point line with the dribble enough to bring out the defense and allow her teammate to come down and open layup. It's just a thing of beauty out there. And, she even threw like a 55-foot pass on a dime. Her teammate never has to break stride and just goes in and puts in a layup. It's a perfect pass. She's absolutely incredible, absolutely elite at passing. I keep saying the thing of beauty. It is. It's just a perfect game. Now let's go back to this game here for a minute on Monday night. Well, the game tied at 45 at the half, and Iowa comes out of the locker room on fire. I mean, the 4 of those 3-pointers she hit, they were not even close to the 3-point arc, and they were further back, and each one was further back than the previous one, doing her famous logo 3-pointers. As she says, it's kind of her thing. It also made her the all-time leader among Division I players with her 538th career three-pointer in that game. She also set more records with career tournament three-pointers made and career tournament assists made in this game as well. So she's done it all. She just checked off every individual stat that she could possibly have, every record that she could possibly have. The only thing that is missing is the national championship. And she's 2 wins away from getting that. Meanwhile, for LSU, pretty good effort by them. Flau'jae Johnson scored 23 points. And, of course, Angel Reese was pretty good. 17 points. Probably would have had more. She injured her ankle on this game and played through it. But she's just huge inside. 20 rebounds in this game. Dominated inside. She's a fun player to watch, too. There's no question that. So, look, we all know that Caitlyn Clark is going pro at the end of the season, is expected to be the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft by the Indiana Fever. We will have to wait and see what LSU's Angel Reese decides. And she's been kind of quiet about her plans. If she said she wanted to wait for the season to end before she made a decision. Well, now her season is over, and maybe an announcement will come in a couple of days. But look, if she goes pro like Clark, she's going to be an early lottery pick. And maybe these two could continue their rivalry at the next level at the WNBA. It's certainly fun to watch the last 2 times they have met in the NCAA tournament. But things are a little more difficult for the women because WNBA rookie salaries are only about $75,000 to $80,000 a year. And with name, image, and likeness, she might be able to make more money at LSU next season. But she would also be very marketable in the NBA, like Caitlyn Clark as well. They'll make their money. Don't get me wrong there. So anyway, that's a big decision for her. We already know what Caitlyn Clark is going to do, but Caitlyn Clark is only focused on the next 2 games. That's all she wants to do at this point, and get herself to a national championship. So following Monday's game, in a post-game interview, Clark said, look, our job's not finished. It's not okay, this is great. We beat LSU. We won the Elite 8 game. We are going to the Final Four. That means we have 2 more games to play and try and get themselves a championship here. So up next for Caitlyn Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes, a Friday Final Four semifinal in Cleveland versus the winner of UConn Southern Cal, which since we put this podcast together right after the Iowa game, the UConn Southern Cal game, right now UConn, as we're taping this, UConn up 52-43 late in the third. So it looks like it could be an Iowa UConn matchup Friday, regardless if it's UConn and Iowa or USC and Iowa. We'll obviously preview that right here on Locked On Big Ten. So all that is coming up. With each game, more and more celebrities come to these games. They want to be seen at Iowa games. Did you see Jason Sudeikis at the game? That's right, Ted Lasso. If Ted Lasso's in the stands, you know it's a big game. Anyway, it was a big game. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was must-see TV. I know when these two teams played each other in the national championship last year, 9.9 million people watched it, setting a record for a women's basketball game. I'll be curious to see when the numbers come out here in the next day, what kind of numbers this did on Monday night. But Hawkeye fans, let's hear from you. What'd you think about the performance? What do you think about the chances moving forward? What do you think about Caitlyn Clark and her laser focus ability out there, just dazzling? And some of you, some bittersweet, there could be just 1 or 2 games left in her career before she moves on. So if you got a friend that hasn't seen her play, tell your friend, watch it now. Watch greatness now while you can. All right. Be sure to subscribe if you like what you see in here and what you hear here. Subscribe. It is for free. You just click it on. No further information is required. And of course, you could get Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. All right. So we got some football to talk about. Ryan Day says he's going to hire a running backs coach this week. He also says this week and next week is very pivotal in who's going to be their starting quarterback. Plus, we'll check in on Donovan Edwards at Michigan. And I got some other football news for you as well. All that is coming up right here on Locked On Big Ten. Let me tell you about LinkedIn Jobs. if you have an office, small business, and you're in charge and somebody quits, you got to replace them. You got to find the right people for the right position for your job. LinkedIn Jobs can help you do that. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. It's not just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire, and it gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process very easy and intuitive. And hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses, you're wearing a ton of hats in the office. You got the last thing you have time to do is go out and hire somebody, right? But you got to do it. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com. Get all sorts of information. All of our podcasts go there. Get your swag, your shirts, your pennants, your hats, all right there. You can get tickets to games, all right there. talkbig10.com. So we are closer to the men's Final Four, and everybody's talking about the big matchup that we talked about, and we focused on yesterday's podcast with Purdue and North Carolina State. Can North Carolina State's DJ Burns, who's listed at 6'9", 275, I really think he's about 6'8" and 300, just wide body. If he can handle Purdue's 7'4" Zach Edey, nobody has been able to yet, and vice versa. They may have challenges for each other. Quick math shows that Edey has a 7-inch height advantage and Burns has a better lower center of gravity, right? So can Edey maintain his position on the block, or can Burns make him a little bit uncomfortable, push him out just a couple of feet, maybe from 5 feet to 7 feet? That could be all the difference in the world. Whoever wins that battle without getting in foul trouble may have an edge in this game. That is the question. We'd love your opinion on it as well. Let's talk some football now. Buckeyes coach Ryan Day says the next 2 weeks are going to be very important for transfer quarterback Will Howard from Kansas State. All the quarterbacks have been rotating reps with the number one so far. This will be one of the biggest stories of the Big Ten this month with spring football. We'll see who comes out of the spring starting quarterback heading into camp this summer. However, it's likely, knowing Ryan Day, that he won't officially name anybody at this point. He's old school. He likes to have a healthy competition in the summertime. Keep everybody fighting for their jobs mentality. And look, ideally, he would like to name an official starter about 10 days out before the regular season opener, but he did not have that luxury last year. Wasn't able to do it because Kyle McCord and Devin Brown had not separated themselves in the battle. So we'll see how that all plays out. And again, last year they didn't do it till about 2 weeks into the season. It was not ideal for them at all. By the way, quick update as I'm doing this right here. UConn 55, USC 51. Who knows? This is a game now. We don't know who Iowa's going to be playing on Friday for the women's Final Four. USC making a comeback. Again, as we're taping this podcast here on Monday night for you on Tuesday. Ohio State football coach Ryan Day also said over the weekend that he expects to have their open running backs coaching gig filled this week. And it looks to be Oregon running backs coach Carlos Loughlin. Looks like that's the way it's going to go. First of all, this is tough for both teams because they're both in the middle of spring football. And now Oregon will have an opening to fill as soon as possible. So Loughlin just signed a $400,000 a year extension, but his buyout was over $700,000 as of Sunday. But Monday dropped to $366K. So maybe the Buckeyes have been waiting for that to happen to save a couple dollars. They've interviewed numerous candidates thus far. Nobody has emerged yet. Tony Alford, of course, left the Buckeyes March 13th to take the same running backs coaching job at Michigan. By the way, he made almost $800,000 at Ohio State last season as an assistant coach, as a running backs coach. I mentioned the salaries here because Lachlan was one of the original Dan Lanning hires when he took over the Oregon job. But Lachlan, before his raise last month, was one of the lowest paid Power 5 assistants in 2022 when he made $175K. All right, the guy is maybe a rumor to be replacing at Ohio State was making 800, 175. Now he's making 400, trying to get to 800 or more. You do the math. It's pretty simple. Now, since 2022, Lanning has lost 5 assistants and 2 since the end of this past season. Under Lachlan, Oregon became one of the best rushing teams in the country. Now the Ducks are one of the front runners to compete for a Big Ten title in their first year in the conference and maybe a national championship. They have talented players. They have a very good coach in Dan Lanning. But if Oregon wants to remain near the top of their new conference and keep winning football games, the Oregon administration better wake up and start paying its assistants a lot more closer to their market value before it becomes noticeable on the recruiting trail and then on the football field. Speaking of running backs, Michigan's Blake Corum is gone, and he'll be drafted this month in the NFL draft. But Speedy Donovan Edwards is still at Michigan, and this is going to be his chance to shine with Corum gone. Edwards knows this. Edwards showed the country what he's capable of during the national championship game versus Washington with several breakaway runs. And he's added some weight here in the offseason, going from 200 to 214. And he's been working. He says his speed is still fine. He's putting on all muscle. Been working on being more consistent with his nutrition and in the weight room. He talked about Tony Alford coming from Ohio State to Michigan to be their assistant running backs coach. Says he's got a great relationship with him because Alford tried to recruit him to Ohio State years ago out of high school. Loves him. Love Mike Hart, who left. Loves Tony Alford as well. Says he's great attention to detail kind of guy. And they're glad to have him in Ann Arbor. Last spring, Donovan Edwards is comparing this spring to last spring. Loves this spring compared to last year. He was coming off a knee surgery, and he didn't really practice till August, and really didn't feel like he was into the flow at the beginning of the season. Feels great. Speed is back. Very confident in his abilities and his chance to shine and rise the team up with him. Or raise it. So he's raised the team up with him. He's ready to go. And looking for a really, really big year. Hey, quick thought. If you have daytime TV on and you're around, whether you got a home office or your schedule's different, maybe your night, I don't know. If you got daytime ESPN and Fox on where they're all just yapping, talking heads, pundits yelling at each other, make the switch to Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming and nonsense. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube, and also the free Amazon TV channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right. We always like to have fun at the end of our Tuesday show. Tuesday tweets. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at TalkBig10. If I see your tweet on there and it's amusing, I am going to use it and put it on here. It's all coming up. We'll see if yours made the list right here on Locked On Big Ten. Passion, drive, and patience. That is the formula for winning championships on the field, on the court. And it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. At eBay Motors, they have everything that you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, just about anything you can think of. Whether you're into speed, power, style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's part of your guaranteed to fit. It's guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. And with all the parts you need and all the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, it is time for our final segment where we do our Tuesday tweets. We'll see if yours made the list. If you're listening on audio only, I will try to explain in detail so you can picture what is going on, and we will put it on the screen. I'll go full screen here. All right, this one is from at Michigan State content. Now, I'll read it and then hang on for the end here. It is a picture of Aiden Childs. This is Michigan State quarterback Aiden Childs is entering the transfer portal. Hashtag go green. The former Oregon State quarterback transferred to Michigan State this past winter, joining head coach Jonathan Smith. 4 months later, he's back in the portal. Childs is expected to have one of the brightest futures in college football and will once again be a top name in the portal list. This marks the second year in a row that Michigan State loses its starting quarterback to the portal mid-off season. Huge task ahead for Jonathan Smith and the staff to fill this role. And then in parentheses, if you're still reading, this is April Fool's. I must admit, when I saw this, it took me, I got about halfway through it before I realized it was a joke. It got me. You got me. At Michigan State content, you got me. Hope everybody had fun April Fools yesterday. All right, for real. Here's a picture over the weekend after Purdue beat Tennessee in the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four. This is from at March Madness, men's basketball. It is Zach Edey cutting down the nets, and he doesn't even need the ladder. Doesn't even need the ladder. He's 7'4". Unbelievable. All right, here is Zach Edey. He cut down some of that net, and he handed it off to Coach Gene Cady, former coach Gene Cady, who was at the game. I think Gene's about 84 years old now. Yeah, he was there. Here's another one at Boiler Ball. Picture of the entire team with the Final Four logo. See you in Phoenix. See you in Phoenix. More college basketball on Fox. Tweeting out Final Four bound at Boiler Ball. You got Zach Edey and company on the cover of this picture. All right, here is one from Matt Dariush, and it's Illinois basketball. This is the speech from Brad Underwood after they were bounced from the NCAA tournament, but it's a reminder of, hey, best season since 2005, 29 wins, AP top 10, 2 banners are going to be hung, Big Ten tournament champ and Elite Eight, and had All-American. So congratulations. I know they got to the Sweet 16 and got bounced and aren't going to join Purdue in the Final Four, but it was a good season by Illinois. Here's another one at Illini KG. He said, and this is a picture of Terrence Shannon Jr. on a bench having a tough time. March emotions hitting hard here. Thank you, 2024 Illini, for a great season. Yeah, no doubt. All right, now, but here was their previous game when they beat 2-seed Iowa State, and this is their head coach, Brad Underwood, coming in shirtless with goggles on and a massive squirt gun, squirting everybody. You got to go back and find this video. It's hilarious. Brad Underwood, man. I would have kept the shirt on, but you know, this is the look he's going for, and some nice camaraderie inside the locker room. One of the great moments. All right, here is from at Jared Kelly regarding Mackenzie Holmes. She played her last game for Indiana when they lost to South Carolina in the Sweet 16. Indiana was down 22 in that game, cut it to 2 against undefeated South Carolina, but they could not pull it off. Mackenzie Holmes finishes her career as IU's all-time leading scorer, 3-time All-American, first IU player to ever be a 3-time All-American, 2022-23 first-team All-American, first in IU history, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, first in IU history, 2022-23 Wooden Award finalist, first in IU history, and so much more. Hashtag IUWBB, IU women's basketball. Congratulations to her. All right, we have more. This is from at Brad Weimer. Note about Michigan's hockey. Michigan's last national championship in 1998 came a couple months after the Michigan football team won a national title. Will history repeat itself? Hashtag go blue. This is because Michigan beat Michigan State to advance to the Frozen Four. Michigan and Michigan State have played like 6 times in the last, this season. This is, you got to go back and watch this video. This is one of the goals that Michigan scored. The assist on this goal says, I still can't believe it. I've replayed this over and over. I still can't believe it. That's part of my comment, as a matter of fact. I forgot. I answered this tweet and then sent it out. I'm in on this. This is a between the legs, 45-degree angle pass. I can't describe it. I describe things for a living. I can't describe it. Go back and watch this video. It's incredible. The pass he made between his legs, but across the court or across the ice, and a goal was scored. One of the prettiest passes I've ever seen. Here's from @RealDonThomas. Michigan is the only school to make the college football playoff and the Frozen Four in the same season, and they've now done it 3 years in a row. Elite athletic program, hashtag go blue. Yes, Michigan hockey, Frozen Four, 3 years in a row. Michigan football, college football playoffs, 3 years in a row. Here's another one from @MGoJDBlue. Frozen Four bound again. Goodbye, Sparty. Go blue. And from one of our favorites, Swanky Wolverine. Happy wishing everybody a happy Easter. It is the Easter Bunny with the Michigan helmet uniform holding the national championship trophy and a basket of Easter eggs. Happy Easter, everybody. Absolutely. Swanky Wolverine. All right, that is it for our Tuesday tweets. Hope you enjoyed those. I always like going through those here in the middle of the week. Just a quick update. UConn up as we're taping this. By the time you watch this, it'll be over. You'll know. But UConn up 65-60 over USC. The winner of this game takes on Caitlyn Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes on Friday in the Final Four for college basketball. We'll have a preview to all that once we settle on the opponent coming up later on this week, and keep our eye on spring football as well, and more news heading your way from Purdue basketball for the men's Final Four. Many ways for you to interact with us here, of course, on Twitter, X @TalkBig1010. Don't forget our website, talkbig1010.com, and also comments on YouTube going back and forth there. Be sure to subscribe before you go. Just a click of the button and that's it. Requires nothing else. It's free. Gets you in our little Big Ten club here in our loop. And tell your friends about us too. You have Big Ten alum friends. Let them know about us, that we're out here working for you every single day. Subscribe and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Like I've told you before, audio version, audio only, comes out at 4 a.m. Eastern, and the video on YouTube comes out about 6 a.m. Eastern. Available for you whenever you want. After this one, watch another one. Go back and watch another Locked On Big Ten podcast. You can find them all on our website, talkbig10.com. They're all in order chronologically, and they're also grouped by teams or schools as well. So check that out. And then when you're done with that, look at our friends at Locked On. They put together Locked On Sports Today, our 24/7 streaming sports channel there as well. All right, that'll do it. It has been a great night. I see USC has scored another bucket. Now UConn 65-64 over USC with 4:36 to go. That's where we're at right now as we close up shop. We'll find out who the winner of that game is. We'll talk about them and their matchup against Iowa. It's all coming up. Have a great night. Thank you for checking us out. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten. See you next time.